Hi, folks, welcome back to another episode of Craft on Tap, where we talk about growth marketing for RIAs. We're on a high horse this week because we got mentioned by Michael Kitces, the GOAT, and a mentioned us as a new and notable podcast, one of the top 23 podcasts for 2026. Holy smokes, how did we get here? I mean,
Big time.
I guess we've hit the big time. I guess this is it. When we first got into this space during COVID, I didn't even know what a RIA versus an IAR was, So Kitces, I remember Faustin, you and I talked a lot. This guy just puts out content like crazy. I mean, it's just like the first thing we found, and it was podcasts and videos, and he's speaking and tons of long blog articles. And this isn't new to anybody listening to this because I'm sure you guys have all learned a lot from Kitces, but we've always seen him as like the top, voice in the space for education, and we've learned a lot from him and kind of grew up, with that. And so to get some recognition is really nice. I mean, we like getting recognition in general, just from anyone who will give it to us. So we just cling on to that, but especially from a group like Kitces, it was pretty cool for us to see. And I'll say too, our intention for this podcast is not to get a million listeners or become famous in the world of kids. It's like we're doing it because I think we have a lot to share. It's, to me, it's kind of fun to talk about how we think about our campaigns and our client work and the wins, and I think it'd be helpful for people whether you work with us or not. So that's really like our intention. And it's cool to see that some people have really gotten a lot out of it, and we definitely got a Kitces bump in terms of listens and subscribers. So that's been fun. So hopefully you guys are enjoying it, and we'll continue to produce these episodes and try to stay focused on the educational, as unbiased as we can possibly be, piece of it. So that's what I'll say. Any reflections, Faustin, that you want to share?
Yeah, I would just say a quick shout out to Adam Van Dusen for the recognition. I know he was pretty instrumental in putting the list together. And I think you had said, you had reached out and said, was there any particular episode that he had highlighted that he was interested in? I thought it would be good to share anyone new here. The number 20, hire a marketing agency or build in-house. You really like that. Like, we tried to take an objective perspective and kind of weigh the pros and cons of each one. And then, some other ones that have been popular: email marketing strategy. We really kind of do a deep dive on like everything from newsletters to what you do in the sales process. Personal versus firm branding is another good episode. We talk about pricing in one of the episodes, like should we include it on the firm's website? And then I think Adam mentioned this one, like, is your RIA showing up on ChatGPT, and does it even matter, right? Like, kind of like back everyone up a little bit from the hype train around everyone switching away from Google, which is what we've seen a lot of people promoting over the last like 6 months. So those are just some episodes that you might want to check out if you are new. And then maybe we should, jump into the topic of this episode. Enough of the shameless plug.
Let's talk about account-based marketing, ABM. You'll hear a lot about niching in the space if you're into marketing for financial advisors. A lot of folks will say, okay, pick a niche, because it has benefits in terms of marketing and reaching people and getting them kind of into your funnel. You hear less about account-based marketing or company-specific marketing in this space. It's very common, across other industries and B2B marketing in general. But we want to talk about it a little bit for financial services, specifically for RIAs, and specifically for the firms listening to this. And the clients that we work with, some of the larger RIAs, or I guess mid-sized to larger, 300 million to, several billion in AUM, somewhere in there. You don't hear a lot about account-based marketing being done by these folks. So we want to just kind of peel back the curtain, share some of what we've done with our clients, in terms of campaigns, company-specific campaigns, how we look at account-based marketing in general. And hopefully you'll be inspired and maybe come up with some ideas that you can bring back to your firm and to your colleagues. So let's start there. Just on the broad sense, where do you start with trying to determine if you should do this? And one of the questions would be, how do I focus on, I might have, several clients that all work for this firm, or I might have 20 clients that work for this firm and I want to build that out. How do I do that without alienating, my other clients, kind of my more general clients? So that's a nuance we should get into maybe right off the bat.
Yeah, I think this is applicable to firms that are growing, just to your point, like 300 million, 500 million, a billion. They've gotten to a point where they can't really niche down in the same way, right? They have a number of advisors that they've taken on or brought up, and those advisors have a variety of different clients usually, right? So it's very difficult to figure out from like even a homepage perspective, how do you talk about the different personas that you're trying to attract? So what's one of the first things that we do when we talk about with like when we meet with a new client, a new firm, is try to figure out, are there opportunities from a marketing perspective to really highlight those personas? Because we know it helps so much in trying to be more specific, but oftentimes it doesn't work out, right? Like there's just too much variety. And so I think that, an account-based marketing approach really helps you to sort of thread the needle and say, okay, we are going to create more specific marketing content for a particular advisor or multiple advisors. That's going to be specific and really drill down into exactly those individual challenges without taking the whole firm and pushing them in that direction. So for our notes and kind of prepping for this episode, we started like first more broadly than even a particular company. And it's a client example of like, a firm that's about $1 billion in assets, right? So they have that issue of a lot of different advisors doing a lot of different things. And they had taken on a new advisor that they were really excited about because this advisor had a lot of connections in the attorney space, particularly with law firm attorneys, right? And so they really wanted to kind of figure out, hey, how can we market to these attorneys without ostracizing all the rest of our client base? And so we're going to talk a little bit about that because a lot of the tactics can be applied across specific companies. So we're going to work our way to specific companies in this episode. So here's what we did, right? We determined that partners at this law firm would be a great prospect audience for the firm that we were working with. So we interviewed him, tried to learn all the ins and outs of all the challenges, right? He talked a lot about like the compensation potential for law firm partners and how that can create some unique tax implications. They have a lot of variability on the cash flow front. They have this need to meet permanent capital and mandatory retirement plan requirements as well, which can be a little bit tricky with the way that their compensation works. So we got all the ins and outs of like the key financial challenges from his perspective. Then we were able to interview a couple of clients that he had that fit that description of the law firm partner and really kind of like drilled down, validated a lot of what he was saying. With a company specific approach or even a broader persona, it is, if you can, really important to try to validate some of the things that you think as a firm with the actual individuals that are going through the process, right? So I just think that's a key point that we got to make sure. Like anytime you can interview, hear it from the horse's mouth, as they say, it can do a lot to help you with your overall marketing approach. Like what did they find the most valuable? Not just what the firm finds the most valuable. So what do we do with that information, right? So we synthesize all the key points, right, from what the advisor that we're trying to help promote and also the individuals that were the clients. And then we created a persona specific page for law firm partners on the website, very clearly in navigation. It had sort of like, you've made partner, what comes next messaging, like right in the front. So it's almost like a little mini microsite that lives on the navigation of the main firm page, but it doesn't hit you for every single person that goes to the page, right? So it's this like separate page itself. And I think that's important for any future marketing efforts, outbound efforts by the advisor from a sales perspective, that the potential law firm partner prospect needs to be able to see themselves and have it resonate with them on the site somewhere. So we really felt like that was an important step before we did any sort of like specific outbound, just to have a good landing page or a landing spot for that persona. And we can really drill down on a website more than just like a piece of collateral or like a PDF. You can really like flesh out on a website in a lot of detail all the specific challenges that we were hearing from those interviews. So we got the nice hero section that says you made partner, what next, what's next and for your finances. And we call out the challenges. Then we talk about the solutions that the firm offers specific to that persona, right? Specific to the law firm. Then we have some testimonials that we were able to obtain as part of the interview process with those law firm partners, get their permission, follow the marketing rule, make sure we have, they weren't compensated. But that social proof as a law firm partner is getting on that microsite to be able to see, right, that they've actually worked with people like me before can go a long way. And then another important component, Stephen, I'll let you comment here in a second, so I don't completely take over here. The advisor, the individual advisor who's going to be working with these law firm partners, we wanted to make sure in his bio that we really called out those lawyer, like had the attorneys called out really high up in his bio and had a link to the attorney page that we had created, because we realized that, people are not going to be searching for the firm name itself first. They're going to be looking for him as an advisor off of Google, off of his LinkedIn page, right? And so we wanted to make sure that people can make that connection once they got on the site. Am I saying all that correctly, Stephen? What would you say?
Yeah, really good. Just yeah, I would just add two things. Like one that to that last point. Yeah, they're people aren't going to be searching for your firm name. Say you're an attorney, say you're a partner at a law firm, you're not going to be necessarily searching for your firm name because they don't know who you are yet. But they might be searching for financial advisor for law firm partners, something like that. That's what you're saying. We baked into this gentleman's bio because he did have that background and he did have that unique experience and relationships with folks, but nobody kind of knew it. So we're just casting that out into into a wider net, I guess, so people can find him. And then of course they find him, then they go to the attorney's page like, oh dang, okay, yeah, they work with, they see the testimonials, like you said, is a big one. They work with, we'll have the person's firm name on there. So the law firm's name, some of these carry a lot of weight. They're big, they have some credibility in the space. And so you start to, like you said, social proof, you start to see, oh wow, they work with people that are with this firm. That's impressive. Obviously, I can see myself in that kind of position. So yeah, that all kind of gets baked into. I would say like you said, the mini site, or this is kind of like the home or the landing page for where all of our other campaigns are going to come off of. Like you got to look at. We always say like your website is your primary marketing asset. This is like a sub piece of that. Your web page for these law firm partners is going to be your primary asset, where all your other work is going to jump off of and then flow back to. So I think that's important. You got to build that out. And like you said, the messaging is super spot on. Like you've made partner, what comes next? Really, not a lot of other industries or types of companies would say it like that. So it's like we're just speaking their we're speaking their language, which is another benefit of talking with their clients in the beginning to nail down our messaging strategy, to just understand, okay, now we're speaking your language. And so then there's no awkwardness when they go to the website and there's some generic language there.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, like, and then getting down to as specific as like K1 versus W2 considerations, and here's how we help with that. Drilling down to the nitty gritty of what they experience, and you can do that on a little microsite versus the whole page. I think it's important too. You said this really well, Stephen, but this is like the infrastructure, right, for the campaign that we want to run. I guess I would say it's not like we're expecting people to find this microsite searching for like, I need an attorney near me,
Yeah.
right? Or a firm that can help me as an attorney. Ideally the site would show up if someone's searching that on ChatGPT, and ChatGPT knows now all the ins and outs of everything that you searched. And so like they know you're an attorney and maybe they can queue that up, but that's not like that would be a beautiful consequence to happen. It wouldn't be like the primary purpose. Primary purpose is we want it to resonate with people when the campaign, the outbound, the advisory work, right, that we're going to talk about here happens. Because the worst thing in the world is for this advisor to do a lot of work, like trying to make these connections, bridge these connections, send some collateral, start having these conversations, and for the firm website not to validate what that individual advisor is talking about, right? So like we're just trying to create that experience for when they get on there.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, that's right.
So what do you do next? Okay, so really the thing that, because this advisor had a number of connections in the space and was already talking to a couple of potential law firm partners, right, like prospects, we can take that website content and streamline it a little bit more, consolidate it into some really nice firm branded PDFs, that would position the individual advisor on the front page with a headshot and the experience working with law firms with the firm and the way that they solve all the issues, right? So essentially, like, you take the microsite that you've built out on the landing page is what we're calling it, and you can make it into a really nice PDF that can be shared easily through email. Email is great still for PDFs, right? And so it just allows for like current clients too. It's a great referral opportunity if they are like, if you're asking for an introduction, being able to share a nice piece of collateral like that to sort of introduce the new referee to the individual advisor that they're referring really goes a long way. But it also can be used as these conversations happen. So, you can definitely send them to the landing page itself, but there's something about getting that nicely branded like sales collateral where they can just pull it up right on their phone. They don't have to jump out of their email platform. It goes a long way to sort of like give that first perception. Would you agree with that, Stephen?
Yeah, and I
Like the
think
value of a PDF?
Yeah, and I think that partially came out of, just us asking. So the gentleman who, was working for our client, he previously worked for the law firm, and so he knew he had some good connections in the space. But I mean, one of my first places to start would be just asking him, hey, what would be most helpful for you, like in terms of marketing pieces or collateral or
Yeah.
sales support, because now you're in charge of business development within this law firm niche, and specifically with partners, and then specifically geographically around here. So what would be most helpful for you? What are you missing? What are your gaps? And that's where I see, that's where I see our role really, like on that kind of sales enablement side. For something like this, anyways, we do all kinds of different marketing and so on and so forth. But for something like this, they're like, okay, we really want to make a push further into law firm partners. Like, we have this guy here; he's got a lot of experience, and now it's like, all right, now we need direct access to him. Let's be his resource and see what he needs. And then he told us, like, he said, oh, I think a 2-page PDF would be really slick. That way I could just email it off to people; they could share it around. I might even print it off and so make a printable version, print ready version, and then I could take it to people and so on. So cool. That was one of the main pieces that we kind of rallied around.
Yeah, nice. And then, honestly, after that, it's really up to the hustle of the advisor, right? I mean, they're equipped. They know there's going to be a great landing page infrastructure for when they start building the connections. And so we would help provide guidance there on like filtering LinkedIn searches. If you have Sales Navigator, you can really like identify exactly the partners at law firms in a particular region that you're trying to go after. You can start trying to connect with them with a non-salesy-ish message, right? That you just want to connect. Most of them are not going to connect with you, but you get a fourth or so to really start drumming up some potential interest. You can build out an entire like content strategy, like sharing the specific challenges. Like each challenge becomes its own LinkedIn post where that advisor with a nice headline that emphasizes, that they work with attorneys, they're connecting with law firm partners, about a fourth of them accept. Most people will a lot of people will just accept, not most people, but a lot of them will. You don't want to hit them up too much on the outbound side because we haven't seen that really be impactful. As you advisors know, you probably get hit up all the time with outbound on LinkedIn, but you can create that connection, start those conversations, and then be posting a lot around particular challenges and just use the content, the copy that's on that landing page or the PDF as a starting point, right? And it just kind of snowballs from there, right? I mean, that's it. It really is. There's no like, I don't know, golden ticket type of solution for breaking into, a persona or even a company like that. But if you have the collateral, you have the wherewithal and the hustle to be able to sort of connect with as many as you can and really start building in-person connections as well, asking for introductions and referrals. You have the infrastructure in place to really make a lot of progress.
Yeah, just let me.
A lot of it does come down to the hustle, don't you think,
Yeah,
Stephen?
I think that's
When
really
it
good.
comes,
I just say like a lot of it comes down to the hustle. We're supporting this guy in this example, as much as we can. But if it was easy, everybody would be doing it, right? It's not. It's
yeah,
not going to be easy, and it is like a long term play. So I was just thinking some of the other things you could do, and you guys might be, if you're listening, you might be thinking, what about Zoom info or an RA database, whatever it is, and we start calling people or reaching out and that kind of thing. I mean, in our experience, that's been um, the conversion rates on those, like to even get connected with somebody, are so low, and it's such a time suck, and there's no trust there. So we're trying to do this like with this LinkedIn strategy and feeding back to the page on the website and supporting it with collateral and incentivizing referral. We're trying to do the marketing work such that we're going after warmer folks, or trying to warm people up, that kind of thing. But it is a long-term play, especially if you don't have exposure in the space already. um, if nobody knows who you are, or only several people know who you are, it's going to take time. Like you said, on LinkedIn, you can start, like you said, connecting with people, and then your profile should be decked out. If you haven't listened to that episode, we just did it recently on your LinkedIn profile, all about law firm
yeah,
partners and all the resources you have and all the copy that we put on your web. Put that on your profile as well. Put your personal story on there. Why now you're at an RIA and you used to be at this law firm, and what that means and how you can uniquely serve these folks, and deck it all out. Because like I said, maybe a quarter of them will actually connect with you. You reach out to 100 law firm partners, and maybe 25% of them accept. They start seeing your stuff in their feed. If you're consistent about it, if you consistently post things that resonate with them, like addressing their challenges, like you said, time you will build your audience, you will build your awareness, you will get conversations, you will get people going to your website, you will get more interest there, and then again over time you will get some discovery calls set up, some fit calls, that kind of thing. You'll get more
yeah.
referrals. That's really the big part. You'll get more referrals than you were before, because now you're doing a better job of putting yourself out there as the expert in the space that's specifically for law firm partners. So, even if people aren't reaching out to you directly, they could be sharing your stuff in the background, and it's really easy to forward a link or forward a LinkedIn post to somebody else, a colleague. So it takes time. There's no silver bullet here. I do think, so what we're trying to do, like with this LinkedIn strategy, feeding with the web page, is more targeted for long term, kind of warming up, generating more awareness. If you're like, I
Yeah.
need leads tomorrow, like this is not going to be the strategy for you, and and I'll just say that's really hard to do. So if you need leads tomorrow and you're just going to start banging the phones, like, good luck. I think it's something we've seen a lot of firms struggle with, and so we've taken this approach, which is in our mind, just a smarter, more efficient way to do it. So just sharing kind of what we've learned and what we've seen.
Yeah, I think that's well said. I think there are ways to expedite it, right? Like you can pay ad spend for thought leadership posts, where you can essentially like use the firm to promote your individual advisors, resources and education and stories that they've been posting around law firm partners, and then use LinkedIn to promote that to you know, other law firm partners in a particular region. So there are ways to spend money to sort of try to expedite your message to make sure it gets in front of the right people. However, just to your point, Stephen, like just because your LinkedIn post, shows up in the feed of a potential prospect a couple of times doesn't mean it's going to guarantee a discovery call, right? So much of marketing is trying to be in the right place at the right time when there's that catalyst in that individual's life to be able to reach out. And that's why the infrastructure piece is such an important part,
Yeah.
right?
I'll say
Um,
one more thing. If I'm this guy, coming from a law firm, now working for an RA, I'm tasked with generating more partners as clients. Yeah, I need all this marketing stuff built out in the background. Probably where I'm starting is having direct conversations with my top clients and calling them and saying, "Hey, I know you're busy. Can we grab a coffee? Can I buy you a beer after work or whatever? If not, that's all right. I just want to tell you, we're currently accepting more clients from law firms. We've got these specialties, as you know. We've been serving you like this for however many years. If you're open to it, I'd love for you to share this with some people, and no pressure. Just figured I'd ask because we're accepting more clients that are kind of in the same space. That's where I would start. If you're gonna go ads and cold calls and try to generate these law firm partners to turn them into clients, these folks, I mean, they're so busy, that's just not going to happen. That's not. I just don't believe that it's going to happen at any point. I mean, certainly you might get one here or there over a year or two, like blind squirrel finds a nut every now and then. But there's no way to scale that, in my opinion. These people are busy. They make a lot of money. They have high demands on their time and energy, and so you're better just going, focusing on your existing relationships and trying to work through those with the marketing materials that we've been describing.
Yeah, nice. Okay, so what does this have to do, Stephen? It sounds to me like a lot of just like persona or niche marketing. Like, what does it have to do with company specific marketing? Like, this is what the episode's title, right? And the reason we shared about this is because a lot of you are probably finding yourself more in that broader category than anything else. And a lot of the same tactics that we just discussed can be used when you're talking about a specific company. Um, the nice thing is that, the more specific you can get about what a particular employee at a company or a partner at a company is going to, the more impactful it can be, right? So all the stuff that we just talked about with a law firm partner, if you can really call out that you work with partners at this firm, right? How much more valuable and differentiated are you in your messaging than any other wealth management firm that might be trying to attract them, right? So, and let me give you an example of how this can work. So we have a newer client that we're working with, about 500 million in assets, and they have that same issue that we were talking about, where they work with owners, they work with executives, they work with pre-retirees, they work with retired families. They're just all over the spectrum, right? And they don't want to niche down into a particular type of audience, but they do have a newer advisor that they really want to help promote and increase that advisor's inbound leads. And he has a lot of good traction with a particular company in his region. Like he has like 4 or 5 clients that are like upper director level that are more affluent, that have the type of assets that the firm is going after. This is a great candidate for a lot of the tactics when we talk about company-based marketing, because if you already have a decent amount of clients in this company, then creating some collateral, right, around this specific company can help you snowball within that company itself. And so there's a lot of like outbound referral type tactics that you can use within that particular company that can allow that individual advisor to make a lot of progress. So let me just show you a couple of, or not show you, but talk to you a little bit about how we're going to go about approaching that particular challenge for that client, because we've done it a number of times with other clients in the space over the last few years. So we had one client that really had, I think, 20 or so clients at a big public company that was more in like the upper end director level, but they were also open to younger, newer employees at this public company. So they were kind of like open to maybe at a lower asset level than some of the RIAs listening, but they were willing to work with that client over 10, 15, 20 years to really, the lifetime value of the client was worth it for
Well, they
them.
knew the career track at that
And
company was such that those folks would start to make more money within the next 5 to 10 years, and say, if you
yeah,
stay with it, right? They know the career track, and they know the comp associated with that.
yeah, 100%. So one of the things that was really unique about working at this company was the equity grant structure, right? So when a new employee came on, they had to make this decision about, if they were going to do this type of RSUs, or if they're going to do these kinds of options, or if they're going to take it out in cash. And so there was like these multiple options that the employees, right? And in talking to some of this clients that worked at this company, they were just kind of given this big packet of like how to pick these grants. And most of these, younger employees, but even like employees into their 40s, 50s, taking on more of a senior role, had no idea how to navigate this, right? And so this firm was very well versed in helping these 20 or so clients. And so we built out an entire website, mini microsite, just like we were talking about for the lawyers, but it was all catered around this specific company. And it called out right at the top. It was like, hey, so-and-so employees, like, welcome, right? And we had a nice video that introduced from one of the founding partners of the firm, introduced themselves and talked about how they worked with a lot of the company's employees and how they can help them navigate all the ins and outs of their equity grants and the benefit structure and everything else. And it was just like this vibrant, like in your face, top of the landing, like ready to go. So there's no mistaking, right? When a employee at this firm landed on this page, that they worked with them, they're well versed with them, right? Not the whole firm website itself, not the whole homepage, but just this like mini microsite, right? And so then, in a very like educational way, laid out objectively all the different options that they would have on equity grants, how they would sometimes counsel their current clients on how to make those decisions, and then laid out all the benefits that they get and what the choices they have at open enrollment time, and how to help, navigate those, how to make those choices, right? So much so, Google found it so valuable that it was showing up when you typed in this company benefits, right? Which a new employee would do. They showed up as like right underneath the company domain. So they'd be like number 2 or number 3. So they were showing up a lot of times, were being found by employees before this company, before they even
Basically
started
outranking the company's own HR department effectively for how to when they're onboarding.
or like being like right there with them, right?
Yeah.
So it was really exciting to have this. And then we even went a step further and built out this entire white paper focused around big questions that these employees might be asking. So what am I going to do with my equity grants, and how should I think about my investments, and how should I start planning for retirement? It was very nicely done with like very nice author pages about the experience working with this company. And, you scroll through, we had charts and graphs and infographics and everything. And a lot of it was applied from how the firm would help other people at their other positions, right? It doesn't all have to be this niche company specific, but it was done in such a way that just like spoke directly to this type of employee, right? And so again, like the infrastructure was there. We had this nice branded white paper PDF. We had this nice landing page on the website. So what was left was, right, our goal was to get like all these companies, a lot of the modern companies, especially the tech employees, they have these individual Slack channels where each region has a different Slack channel, and they're constantly like, one of the channels is, localized vendors, right? And so our goal was really to show up as a recommended localized vendor that then the other employees at this company would always look back, like they're thinking about an advisor, who do the other company employees recommend? And we were able to show up multiple times as a result of some of this collateral, right? Which generated a lot of interest and opportunities and discovery calls. And so what we did is very similar to the attorneys. We asked the current clients to refer and to share, if they were willing, some of the collateral, the landing page, the PDF, the things that we had put together. So in doing that, right, like just like the attorney example with the law firm partners, but we're going much more in depth. In doing that, we completely differentiate ourselves on the marketing front from anyone else trying to do this, right? And I was just checking earlier for this particular company. And sorry, we're talking in generalities, but we just want to make sure we
got to keep it anonymous. But yeah, it's some sensitive.
Got to keep it anonymous.
Some sensitive work. We're trying to respect who we've been working with. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm checking in, and there's been other firms that in the last year have copied exactly what we did, right? Yep. And that are trying to like outrank the previous page. So anyway, I just say that because what you can do with that from a like outbound perspective, right? Like connecting with all of these employees, and then you can start sharing the individual like call outs of the graphs that you put together that's in this white paper. And then you can send LinkedIn messages after you've connected with them and say, hey, just wanted to let you know we have this like microsite if you're interested, right? Like not salesy, but you can send them that page where if they're interested they can click in and then get this vibrant like experience about how the firm helps. There's so much you can do if you're willing to niche down. And especially if you know that company's on LinkedIn, right? Like then it makes sense to put some ad spend behind your individual posts because you can target people with like 10 to 15 years of experience or new employees at this firm on LinkedIn very well and feel really good that your ad spend is going to go directly to the audience that you're going to. So the more specific you can be of some of these campaigns, the better everything is going to work, right? Because you feel more confident that it's going to get to the right people and be in front of the right audience. So I get excited about this, obviously, because I love it from a marketing perspective. And so if you're willing to sort of allow this thing to snowball and invest some time and energy behind the infrastructure of the collateral, it just benefits you for years to come.
Yeah. Yeah, the Slack channel thing is I mean, that's so deep. That's several layers down. That's like in the marketing world, that's like striking gold. Like you're getting referred inside of a company's internal Slack channel by other current clients. I mean, it doesn't really get much better than that. By the time they get on a fit
Oh
call
my
or
gosh.
discovery call, they're pre-sold. They're like 95% of the way there. Again, some generalities here. It's not always like that, of course, but just think of that. Think of that journey as kind of the prospect, the person working for this company, and versus like somebody cold and you're trying to market to the masses. Like it's just so different. It just sets us up. We think it just sets us up for so much more success if we kind of take this type of approach. One thing I'll add, you did a great job describing that. One thing I'll add is just videos were also a piece of that. So like the
Yeah.
microsite page, which is like a sub page on their website. They had actually done some webinars as well. So then we'll host webinars like as a blank company employee, how to manage your equity comp options or preparing for retirement at company name, whatever it is. 30-minute webinar doesn't even have to be live, could be pre-recorded. You make it look like a webinar, and then it's like this evergreen piece of content. Throw that up on the microsite page too. And now people can watch 30 minutes of you talking. Then they get a real sense of like you personally. They see your work examples at your company. It just like drives it even further, that they could be a really great fit for that employee. So I think the video piece is like even the next level. And then when you take this stuff and go soft outbound with LinkedIn, you just have a much higher chance of, you have 20 LinkedIn connections that already work for the same company. Now you reach out to the person, they see all these shared connections, they're more likely to accept your invite, versus if you just start like cold connecting with random people on LinkedIn, pre-retirees,
Yeah.
or, it's just such a lower percentage. So they're going to accept your invite more often. Then you can send them the direct message, like you said. Hey, no pressure, but we got this webinar coming up next month. You might want to check it out. Some of your coworkers are actually already attending. Here's the link to RSVP if you want it. Also, if you can't attend, it's fine. We'll just send you the recording afterwards. Most people respond pretty well to that. It's like a very helpful educational thing. So it just sets us up, I think, a little bit better. And then ads. Last thing, we did an episode on paid ads and mostly ranted and raved about how we're kind of anti-paid ads for the most part. But this would be a good example where paid ads could really it's like more fuel in the fire that you already have going.
Yeah.
It's really like boosting your your content and in a very personalized way. If you're thinking of paid ads like on LinkedIn on the sidebar and it says top 10 retirement checklist tips, whatever, something like that, and you're just going after the masses of pre-retirees, good luck, right? You're competing against Fishers and creative planning and these groups that spend 20 million a year on paid ads. If you're using paid ads to say, hey, specific company employee, we have this white paper or we have this upcoming on-demand webinar for 30 minutes. It's specifically geared towards your unique challenges with your equity comp or your retirement planning at this company, and it's totally free. Now we're talking. Like, you actually have a much higher chance of somebody, first of all, clicking on that ad, coming to your website, and then converting into a lead. So, yeah, it just
Yeah, that's
you're
well
setting
said.
yourself
You
up for
also
so much
can
more success this way.
you also are not I'm sorry to interrupt you. You're not gonna spend as much either on a day-to-day basis. Like, it's very common for people when they start running
Great
LinkedIn
point.
campaigns to like wake up in the morning at 8 a.m. They're like, oh, let's see how my campaign's doing. And you've already burned through it at 1:30 in the morning, your daily allocation, right? So to your point about the masses, right? You can really nail down a much smaller subsect of 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 people that gives you a lot more value in your ad spend on an impression basis. Last example we had, Stephen, is just the catalysts, right? Like, this is more on like the tech company side as well, but it's specific. Like, there's a tender offer where employees have to make a decision, or an IPO that's announced where they're going to have to make a decision on how to navigate it, and that is something your firm can help with and wants to attract. I do think there's some beauty in the urgency and the catalyst that the potential prospect feels that really lends itself well to a marketing specific campaign. So those webinars, those videos that you were mentioning, right? Like, if someone has a tender offer and they don't know what to do and they're trying to figure out how to, if they accept it here, what are the tax implications, something specific to that company that's like goes into all the details of how they should navigate it and has like details of the actual tender offer, right? That you can mine from a firm's perspective across, like the
Video of the
announcements and
advisor
stuff. You
talking
can
about
really,
that tender offer. Yeah.
oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, that to me is something that again could merit some ad spend behind some thought leadership post or something that the partner or whoever the person is that's going to be going after these individuals, like that to me is a good example of some ad spend. Because you know a lot of ways that I like to think about ads are like, hey, you want to be in the you want to be in there, you want to get in front of the right audience over time. It's more of a long-term play. If you're trying to create like A to B causation for most type of ad spend or even like most marketing campaigns, you're going to end up being disappointed mostly because it just doesn't work like that. But for a catalyst like that, for a particular company going through something that the employees are going to be worried about and anxious about, I love all these tactics that we've been talking about. A landing site, a white paper, a webinar, a video, something that you can share specifically with them, I think can really lend itself well to some marketing and success. And we've seen that across different clients when we've really been willing to invest and lean into a particular company.
Yeah. Yeah, like that trigger, you're just basically trying to strike while the iron's hot. And then you actually have, I think, a decent chance of getting found with organic search or maybe even through the LLMs. Say they are, worried about they don't know how to navigate their tender offer and all that goes with it. Hopefully you're doing it through the referral channels that exist, but also you could get people that are just cold searching, on Google or through the
Yeah.
LLMs. You could definitely get people that they come in that way as well. Because again, it's just so targeted. You just have a much better chance of getting found compared to kind of the broad searches for the broad audiences. So we're just trying to meet them where they are and strike while the iron's hot.
Yeah, and if you have some social proof from that particular company, and you can even say like your firm has helped this many or this number of assets at this company, those are little like triggers for the LLMs like ChatGPT or even Google AI overviews. They love to cite statistics like that.
Yeah.
So to your point, Stephen, if someone's like tender offer, what do I do? And ChatGPT knows that they worked at this company because they've been sharing information the last like 2 years under this account. It makes perfect sense why they would like queue up. So and so firm has helped people like you at your company with this many assets. Like you're gonna have a much higher likelihood of showing up. So, okay, how would you summarize what we've talked about? It's been about 45 minutes or so. Do you want to try to sum it up?
Yes, I'll
Some
sum up
action
by saying
steps.
thanks to Michael Kitces and Adam Van Dusen. Hopefully, we're saying your name right, Adam. Appreciate the shout out. For those listening to this, I think, um, yeah, if you're getting into if you're trying to expand into certain companies, or I mean, certainly, even if it's not a specific company, but it's law firms, more broadly. If you're trying to expand, try to drill down, generate more AUM and those types of clients. Try to drill down as much as you can. Just keep going a level and a level and a level further into the best clients, the ideal fit clients for you. Like we mentioned, partners at law firms, not just paralegals at law firms. We're talking about 40 to 50 year olds at this tech company, not just 25 to 35 year olds at this tech company. Try to drill down as much as you can, and then just extrapolate from your work experiences, but then also talk to your clients or hire us and we'll talk to them. And that way we can get the messaging out of their heads, and straight from the horse's mouth, like what Faustin said, and then distribute that digitally. We do this kind of account-based marketing, this company-based marketing. It gives us a better chance at converting these folks than kind of the broad digital marketing campaigns that are available. So I would say it's almost like like a niching strategy, but even more so, can be really effective. I'll say too, it requires a lot of work to get to this point.
Yeah.
So this doesn't happen overnight, and that's okay. Um, Shameless sales plug. If you want to talk about what this looks like for your firm, reach out to us. We'd love to share more specific examples, and see what it could look like for your firm. But we do think it's one of the more effective ways to digital market to support further AUM growth. How was that? That's my best
Yeah,
shot.
that was great. I thought it was great. The only last thing I would add to that is that the company specific marketing allows you to dip your toe in the water with the niche a little bit without completely jumping in. And so that's one of the advantages. You kind of get the best of both worlds. You get the specific financial challenges that can speak directly to that individual without having to worry about your current clients or the worry always, Stephen, is that you're going to be marketing to tech directors that are 40 from Silicon Valley, and then you're going to have a beautiful like $10 million pre-retiree prospect that stumbles onto your site or is referred onto your site, and that's just going to turn them off. And so I understand that concern. I mean, that resonates with me as well. So the company specific, like it's almost like a little side campaign, allows you to sort of thread the needle and have the best of both worlds,
Nice. Yeah.
I would say.
All right. Well, folks, thanks for listening. We will be back with more soon. Hopefully you found it helpful, and have a great rest of your week.